Hi, good morning. We have some Christmas bauble crochet to do. Now these are sort of bauble covers rather than baubles. So as you can see, we have one of those clear baubles inside here, and then I've crocheted over. So we've got two different designs here. And also this design also makes a really cute little snowflake. So we're going to do that as well. They are super quick. Obviously you do need to sort of vary sort of maybe your hook size if the bauble's slightly larger, or if your yarn's slightly different. This is a 4-ply yarn, and don't forget I'm using UK terms because that will make the hugest of difference when it comes to fitting something. Now I know recently somebody commented regarding the chocolate oranges, because for some reason, which is very annoying, they've slightly shrunk in size, like a lot of chocolate has at the moment. And so they were a little bit concerned whether the fit on the orange would work. Now I'm using one of those new oranges at the moment for my covers, and they've all been okay. If you do find your work is just fractionally too large, sometimes it's as simple as going down a hook size, because double knit yarn will take a 3mm hook easily. So it sometimes does come to adjustment. I do mention that in the videos anyway, but it'll be the same with these. So you do need to be sort of conscious of what yarn you're using, what size bauble it is, what type of bauble it is. These are plastic. I would not recommend going over glass ones, because you could end up cracking them and ending up with a nasty accident. So these are just cheap plastic ones. These were actually from Temu, but you can get them from the works. If you're here in the UK, I'm sure you can get them from lots of other places. I think the range do them. They're like just craft baubles, because sometimes people fill them with things and things like that. So we're going to go top down. Please pop a comment if you're sort of got any queries. I will try and answer them. If you do enjoy the channel, please like, subscribe and share, and let's go top down and do a little bit of Christmas. So let's get started with these baubles. Now this first part is going to be a bit weird, because I actually videoed the whole thing. And then when I went back, there was like a few minutes missing, and I don't know how that can happen because I don't actually touch the camera, so no idea what went wrong there. So I've sort of gone back a little bit, so I hope the join's not going to be too weird. I think I've just had video gremlins today. It's just not been happening. So basically, this is the ingredients. You will see it all properly in a second, but it just looks a bit weird because it starts when we're doing something else. I was sort of talking about these baubles, and this is what I wanted to say, and I wanted to show measurements, etc, etc. Now these are my baubles. They are approximately sort of 6-inch across. I don't know whether when you buy them they measure, like if I measured point to point, yeah, it's between a 6, 7, 8 sort of bauble, but there is some stretch on these, so it is quite good. And as I will mention later, like I said, I'm going to try and join these two together, making sense. They are from Temu. Super cheap. Now where the other video starts is with this tinsel that I got. The beauty of these is that comes off. So they are craft baubles, loads of places, Hobbycraft, Works, if you're in the UK, the Range, all these places sell these baubles. But as I will mention, and I hope I've probably double mention this now, make sure they are plastic. We don't want any cuts. If you try doing this on a glass one, you're going to shatter it, because we do some of it on the bauble. So safety first. But what I do like about these, I'm going to cut another piece of this off, and so I've already done it once, but never mind. I just don't understand why that part of the video is missing, because it's the start. I get it if it was somewhere else, but no, it's the start. But you will see the next part of the video starts with me popping these in, and you can create the colour. It is so simple to do. So the rest of the products I do mention on the next bit. We've got our acrylic yarn. We have which is a 4-ply, by the way, in case I've not said that. And this is our Rikarumi cotton, baubles, etc, etc. Everything's there, but I go through that on the next bit. So why this first bit was not there, I am so bewildered. I have no idea. So I'm now going to jump. You will see me stuffing some tinsel in this, and we'll get on with the video. So see you in a second. And it was as simple as, it's all stuck to me now, that. That's really technical. There you go. That's all it is. And these are, like I said, they're craft baubles, and I think that's what a lot of people buy them for, to add things to them and things. Sometimes these can be a bit soft if they're cheaper, like these are, so be careful with that as well. And then basically we pop it back on and it gives us a different colour bauble. Obviously I've got white here and a very sort of, I don't know, light green and silvery green, but you could literally do any colour you wanted, so you match for your tree. Although this doesn't match my tree is very sort of typically vintage Victorian, so there's lots of greens and reds and golds and things like that, but these are going to match in the craft room, so I'm going to hang these up in here. So look at the difference it makes. It's amazing, just that. And I think these on Temu, I mean, they're quite quick over here for Temu, but I think they were like £2 and I got about 6, something like that. They were dirt cheap, but I know, like I said, the Range or the Works or somewhere like that, or Hobbycraft even, they might be a bit more expensive at Hobbycraft, but there again they might be better quality. So just shop around and find something decent. Just make sure they're a good plastic so we're not going to break anything. Now my actual yarn, this is, it does have a sparkle in this one. I don't know how well you can see the sparkle, but it is now got tinsel in it. But this is a 4-ply yarn, again easy enough to get, but basic 4-ply is fine. So you want an acrylic, I would say. I have done them in cotton before, but you don't get much stretch with the cotton, so I would recommend an acrylic. Now going on to this little snowflake, I said it was made in a different, actually I don't know whether I said it was made in a different yarn on the video. I don't think I did at the beginning, but it is. You can see it's a very sort of different sort of material altogether. It's quite stiff. Can you see it's sort of quite a stiff thing? And this is what it is. I hope you can read that okay, because that's all in silver as well. It's the Rikorumi, but it's Lame, so it's Rico yarns. And I don't think there's any more information I can give you on that one. It does say that it's a 10-gram ball. They say 2.5 to 3.5 hook. We're using a 3, so that's all good. But I just wanted to show you that in case you wanted some like this, because they do it in different colours and it's really nice and iridescent and it's sort of quite stiff. So if you are hanging them up, it works out quite nicely. So that's why I wanted to show you that, which is this. So we're going to use that as well. We're going to move these out of the way a second. Just a couple of little bits in here. We have my 3mm crochet hook. As I was mentioning before, sometimes adjusting hook, if your yarn's slightly different, can make a big difference. So it does sometimes take a bit of playing. So that's just part of crochet, unfortunately. I have some sewing cotton, a couple of beads, because you may have seen on this one, I've just added a few little bits. I added the feather. The feather's just glued in. I can't get to my feathers at the moment. And my ankle's sort of okay. I've got to a point of physio now, but I don't fancy climbing up ladders, which is what I'm going to have to do to get my feathers. So, but it's basically, I'll show you how to sew this bit on. And I've just shoved it in, a bit of super glue. There you go. You got a feather in there. So which one shall I do first? I think we'll do this one first. The reason they do look the same, you're going to say, well, they're the same. They're not. It's the amount of points, because for this one, I couldn't add the feather. I made this and I'm like, oh, that's cute. And then I realised I couldn't really add the feather to that because it would pull. So I really needed the point there. So I decided to do another one. It is slightly different, and to make sure I got the point at the bottom so I could add on some details. You could hang all sorts of things on there, charms, anything that you wanted to do to personalise it. So this one first, where are we? Right, we don't need that. Let's tidy up a little bit before we get started. This is the yarn I am going to be using, which I could have done with a basket. In fact, bear with me, I can see a wool ball. There we go. So I'm going to pop it in this one. Because I'd already turned it into a ball, it's going to roll everywhere. So it's in, which side shall we have you? We'll put you there. It creates a shadow on this side sometimes, which is annoying. So that is why I'm doing that. So it'll run through there, not run on the floor now. So this is the one we're going to be doing, which is this one. Okay, so again, we'll move those out of the way. So that is one side. We're going to make another one of those. So you can get your 2. And then we'll look at the actual joining of it together. So it's a super quick video. I know obviously I'm chatting now, so it's like 5 minutes gone before we've even started, but I just needed to explain a couple of things, that was all. But you can sort of skip, obviously if you've done it before, you can skip forward on that one. Right, so we need a slip knot onto my hook, and we're going to start with 5 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. We're going to join that 5 by doing a slip stitch into the very first one. There we go, and that creates us a little loop. We're going to do 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, and into the loopy bit we're going to do 2 trebles, UK trebles, remember. 1, and 2. So that gives us the equivalent to 3 trebles, because that 3 chain does count as, I'm going to keep knocking things on, everything keeps rolling about. It does count as a treble. We're going to do 2 chain, 1, 2. We're going to do 3 more trebles into that center loop. 1, 2, 3. We're going to do it again, 2 chain. We're going to do 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. I'm just doing a quick check how many I've got. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. The cat's just run upstairs. She just made a right funny noise. She's after coming in here. That's what's up with her. But I don't mind her coming in when I'm doing the doll stuff. When I'm doing the crochet, she can be a bit of a pain trying to chase the ball and things like that. So yeah, so she's shut out, so she's not happy. Well, she's not shut outside. She's shut outside my craft room. 1, 2, 3, 4. We need 6. It feels a bit of a squish, that, so just pull it round a bit to make sure we've got a bit of space. So 2 chain again. 1, 2. We have 1, 2, and 3. 2 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need another one, so just stretch it out a bit. 1, 2, and 3. So that's our 3 treble. Now, when I do a granny square, I do mine a bit odd, but we're not doing this like a granny square. I'm doing it the proper way. I'm doing it more traditional. So I'm going to do 2 chain. I'm going to slip stitch in the top of the 3 chain, and then I'm actually going to slip stitch till I get to this hole. So I've already done 1 slip stitch, so we need 1, we need 2, and then slip stitch into the actual hole. So that is where we're going to start again. And like a granny square now, we're going to do 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles in this hole. Jump to this one, 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles, and we're going to do that all the way around. So this is, in fact, I am fibbing. Good job I stopped before I actually went on with that. There is actually more chain here. Can you see that that gives you a sort of a bigger point? I'm double checking how many I did actually say. I can't remember whether I did it as 4 or 5. 4. Right, so we're going to do 3 trebles, 4 chain, 3 trebles into 1 chain space. So I hadn't started, thankfully. Here we go. So we do 1, 2, 3, counts as my first treble. Then I got 1 treble, 2 treble, 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, and 4, because we want it to be a bit pointier. We're going to go back in this space and we're going to do our 3 treble. 1, 2, 3. I mean, as you can see, it's actually only 2 rounds. It's just, I think putting it on the bauble is where you've got to be a bit careful because of the stretch, but otherwise it's so quick. Into this one, 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Back into the next one, 3 trebles. We are now going to do 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 trebles back into the same space. So it's making the corners a little bit more extreme, basically. Oh, can you see? So it gives it that little bit slightly pointier, and that is why this works as a snowflake as well, which, although I added an extra point on the other one, which we'll do, and then we'll do the snowflake next, and then we'll do the feather one last. So 1, 2, 3 trebles, 4 chain, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 trebles back into the same space. 1, 2, 3. We've got 2 more to go, so we have 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. 4 chain. 1, 2, 3, and 4. 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. Then our very last one, we have 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, 4 chain, 1, 2, 3 and 4. Back in for our 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, and then it's just going to be a simple slip stitch join into the top of the first 3 chain that you did on that round. So pulling it in like that. I've got my rather clunky scissors here because my little ones are downstairs, because I've been doing starting myself a scarf, so all my stuff's downstairs for that. And there we go. That is our shape. To pull that in the center, if you want to pull it in, you just gently pull that and it will tighten the hole up. Up to you for that. Sometimes you want to leave it like that, sometimes you don't. So we're going to sew the 2 ends in because it's easier to get them out of the way before we continue with the next bit. That's why I say I did these in advance, so you didn't have to watch me do 2. So we need 2 of these, obviously, as I've just said. And let's get this sewn in. If you want that a bit smaller and it's not pulling, because sometimes it won't. When it's amigurumi, it pulls easier, but when it's 5 chain, it doesn't always. But you can always just do that. Look how easy that was. I'm going to go around a few times because I don't want it coming undone. So I'm just threading it through where the actual trebles are, making sure it's nice and secure before I go any further. So again, chunky scissors. They're not ideal, but they're actually my paper scissors, but they'll do. And then we'll sew this end in as well. Like I said, just get rid of all the ends. It just makes life easier after, and they're not getting in your way while you're trying to put it onto the bauble, because we are crocheting it onto the bauble. Sewing ends in is always harder when there's sort of like, when it's a very holy piece of work, because you need to make sure where you're sewing in, it's going in a solid bit, because, you know, so you don't want to end up seeing bits sticking out or bits coming apart, do you? Yeah, those scissors are really rubbish, but silly. Right, I'll put that over there. So now we have the 2 pieces. We're going to bring in the bauble that has the greeny bits in to make it a little bit more interesting. And basically, we're not going to put it straight on there because we can do the first bit on here. We're going to have them wrong sides facing, points to points. Yeah. And we're going to go in this first point, both sides. And get hold of my yarn, that is. And we're going to pull the yarn through, and I'm going to do a chain, but then I'm going to do a double crochet because that holds it better than just doing the chain. We're now going to do 7 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I am then going to do a double crochet into this one. Now this 7 chain could be where you could alter the stretch. If you're finding when you sort of try it on your bauble before you finish, it's not stretching over it properly, add a couple of extra chain in there or reduce a couple of chain and it will bring the work in. So 7 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, because again everybody's tension's different. Mine is relatively tight, I think I'm somewhere in the middle, but if your tension's very loose, which great, sometimes get a really nice lacy effect if you like that, but you might need less here because it'll be too big for your bauble, or just get a bigger bauble, because you can just use, I mean I've used the clear ones, but you can get some really cheap just plastic pretty coloured ones, and you can sort of alter the colour over it and that looks fabulous. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 into the next 2. So I'm pulling the 2 together. That's split, don't do that. There we go. So I've got 3 of them now. We need a couple more. I'm not going to do them all before we try it on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. I'm going to do this one. And look where I am. Right, that's as far as I'm going. So I haven't done that last one because I want to see how it's going to fit on here. So I've just took that out. Now you can see what happens. Oh, it sort of makes it into sort of a bit of a ball shape like that. So we're going to push this in and see if it's stretching enough. Hopefully it should, because it's the same size as the other one I did. So yeah, I'm okay. So for this one, I want the points to finish. Let me just push it over a bit here. Yeah. So you have a point, can't hold it, I'll crochet in a minute. You have a point either side. That's why it's going to be different to the other one. So we're going to do a point either side. So you can sew that bit in if you want to get it out the way, but we can see we have this last bit to do. So I'm going to do it on the bauble now. This is why glass baubles are a big no-no, because I said we don't want any accidents. So 7 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see my chains are relatively tight, so again that can make a difference on your work. So for your first bauble you might have to play about with that, so get paper and pen and do any alterations from there. So you can see I've picked these 2 up. Now that's going to be tight to pull across, so I need to really work hard on pushing them together. So this is the tricky bit. Okay, so we're going to grab our yarn, we're going to pull it through that one, then pull it through this one, then pull it tight, then pull it tight, and then we finish our double crochet stitch. Okay, and that's it. That is it. When you've done one you'll go, oh, that's easy. It just obviously following the first one, and maybe if you've got any adjustments to make, can be a bit of a pain. So we sew these ends in and we have Insta bauble, which only takes minutes really. As soon as you, like I say, get the idea of it, you'll be able to work even faster. So we need to obviously sew those in. We're going to do this pattern again, but we're going to do it with the rikirumi, and we're going to make a little snowflake. So I need to make a bit of a display up here actually in my craft room, so because I think it'll go really nice against the pink and grey wallpaper that I've got. So here we go, snowflake rikirumi. It feels really strange. It is an odd product, but it works really well. It's like almost working with plastic. In fact, it probably is very plasticky, to be honest. So we're going to start the same. Obviously we're only doing one of these because it's one snowflake, but I'm planning on sort of doing a few so I can make them so they're hanging. So here we go, 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm still using the same hook, but look how tiny it comes out in comparison. A slip stitch, if we can get it in there. Come on, slip stitch, in you go. It's not playing. That's because I did my slip stitch too tight. There we are, we're in now. And then we're going to pull that through and pull it through. Now it's not easy to see the hole. You're like, well, where's my hole gone? Just give it a little stretch. It is there. When you've done a couple of stitches it'll be fine. So 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3, then into the hole. Make sure it is the hole you're going into. That's what I'm double checking now. There we go. And I'm going to do the 2 trebles. Like exactly, this is starts exactly, in fact 90% of it's exactly the same as what we've just done. So that is now 3 treble equivalents. So 2 chain, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. Obviously if you don't want to do this snowflake and want to have a look what this second one is, the beauty of YouTube is you can fast forward me. So 1, 2, 1. So we need it 6 times, don't we? Remember, like the last one? But because it's made, if I turn that one into a half treble, what am I doing? Take it out. If you do the stitch wrong, take it out. It's that easy. That's why I like crochet. It doesn't matter if the stitch is wrong. It's very easy to undo. So we have 2. And then 1, 2, and 3. See how many I've done now? 1, 2, 3. That's the 4. I always stop at the 4. I think that's because it's habit of doing a granny square, because it's always 4 for a granny square. But we need 6. So 2 chain, 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. Our last one then, 2 chain and 3 trebles. 1, 2. I don't know how easy this one's actually going to be for you guys to see as well, but essentially, as I say, it starts the same as the other one. So if you're struggling to see, I'd go back doing to the other one, and then I will show you. It's just that last little point. It's hardly any difference, but there's a little bit of a difference. So 2 chain, 1 and 2, slip stitch in the top of the 3 chain, and as before, then we're going to do a couple of slip stitches till we get into the space. And then we're going to do the same sort of combination apart from this point. I don't know how well you can see it. It's just a little picot point, that's all it is, but it just makes that little bit of difference and gives us a little bit of a point. And also if we hang in them, it's always great to have that point. So first of all, we need the 3 trebles. So that's the equivalent to our first, that's our second, that's our third. And this is where it changes, okay? So I'm just going to do 2 this time first, okay? So that's just 2 chain. We're then going to do another 3 chain, which is going to be our picot. 1, 2, and 3. And then we go back into that third one and we do a slip stitch. And it creates that little lump. Then we're going to do 2 chain and then off into the next space, which we got 3 trebles. 1, 2. I'm doing it again. I wanted to, they're turning them into half trebles. I have to admit, this wool is cute and it is nice, the effect it creates. It's a bit rough on your fingers. It's not that easy. Well, it's not hard, but it's not as easy as a sort of soft acrylic, for example. So we've done our 3 trebles, then we're going to do 2 chain first. Then we do 3. 1, 2, and 3. We slip stitch back into our number 3 to create a little lump. And then I'm going to do 2 chain and then off into our next space, which is exactly the same. It's just repeating all the way around. We have our 3 treble, 1, 2, and 3, 2 chain, and then a 3 chain, 1, 2, 3. Slip stitch back into number 3, which can be tricky to find with a finer yarn. I mean, you can do this with a double knit yarn, you could do this with a chunky yarn and make lots of different sizes. So 2 chain, the pattern will just give you different size snowflakes, which will be lovely. 1, 2, 3. And I did that. Look at that. Look what I've done there. Although it sort of creates another design. I didn't go back into there, did I? I'm like thinking, what's that about? Go back. So it has to be, I've done it again. I've created a new design. That is not what I meant to do. But shall we go back? I like to show you my mistakes. Because what I should have done, if I'd have followed the pattern from the previous one, apologies if I've made you undo something there. I will put a little sign up when I do the video to say, I did it wrong here, don't go yet, so to speak. So we had our 3 trebles, we did our little funny picot thing, and we need 3 trebles back into the same space. I've always tried to make my videos a little bit warts and all, because we all go wrong. And I think that's something some people, you know, panic about if they go wrong. It's no big deal. I've just undone it, haven't I? So 3 trebles into the next space. So each space should have 3 trebles, 1 picot set, 3 trebles. Okay, so 2 chain, then 3 chain. 1, 2, and 3. I think I was so busy thinking about the picot rather than where I was going. 2 chain. And yes, back into the same space. 1, 2. It wouldn't have been a very spiky snowflake if I'd have carried on. It would have made a shape. It would have been okay. Right, so now we can go into the next one. 3 trebles. 1, 2, 3. 2 chain, then 3 chain. 1, 2, 3, which is the actual picot. Back into the 3rd stitch. Pull it through with a slip stitch. 2 chain. And back into our same space. So if you're used to doing granny squares, it's the same sort of system really. 1, 2, and 3. You see how we're getting some nice points coming now. Right, into this one, 3 trebles. 1, 2, and 3. 2 chain. 1, 2, 3 for our picot. Back into that 3rd stitch, slip stitch, 2 chain, and back into the same space. So we've got 2 more to go. You could do it as a 5-point one if you look. Imagine if there was just 1 more, but this is a 6-point one. But you could vary that. fact, you could do different ones. Maybe if they were hanging, you could alternate. You could have one that's a 5, one that is a 6. The only thing is where you would sometimes handy to have a point for hanging. That's the only thing. 1, 2, then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 and 3. Back into number 3, slip stitch, 2 chain and 3 trebles. One more to go. 1, 2, 3, then 2 chain, then 3 chain, 1, 2 and 3. I sort of hold my finger roughly where I'm coming back in for that chain, sort of after I've done the 2. That's how I sort of mark it out for myself, because it's not very easy to see with this one. And back into this space for our last 3. 1, 2 and 3. And then we're going to just do a slip stitch join in the top, if it'll go in, of that first 3 chain that we did. And that's it. We've done it. That is our snowflake with our rickaroomy, which, like I say, a little rough on the fingers, but the effect is probably worth it. I think it's worth it because we give it a little stretch. You may want to sort of pin these out to make sure we get the points nice. If we want to tighten that middle up, we just pull that, again, pull it gently, and that does that. So you can imagine we could have loads of them, couldn't we, sort of hanging up, and I think they would be super cute. And I think that's what I'm going to do, because the ball, it's only a what did I say, it was a 10-gram ball? Is it a 10-gram ball? I'm just looking on the label again. Yeah, it's a 10-gram ball. There's still loads and loads in that, so I reckon I'll get quite a few snowflakes. And as much as I'm saying in the craft room, I might do the snowflakes for downstairs, so because they can go in my window, something like that. So really super pleased with them. So that was it. Our last bauble, which isn't a great deal different, it's just that because I needed the point there to hang something on it, I had to alter it a little bit. Still got tinsel everywhere, haven't we? So this is this. It doesn't look much like this, but when it is stretched into position, that is when we get the shape. This positioning is the same as the other one. It's just that we end up with the point there, but the pattern starts the same. Okay, so we're going to do it anyway, in case you didn't want to do the other one. So that's first half done. Exactly the same, slip knot and 5 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and slip stitch into the first one. If it doesn't wiggle about too much. There we go. Now, as you can see on this one, that one had 6. This only has 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So again, it starts like a granny square, but we've got 5. So we start with 3 chain, 1, 2, 3, and then 2 trebles, 2 chain like before, 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, 2 chain, 1, 2, 3, switch it round a bit, 2 chain, 1, 2, 3 trebles, 2 chain. So we've got what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 at the moment. So this is our last set. 1, 2, oh, whizzing round there, 3. Now, like we did with the last one, we're going to do our 2 chain. We're going to slip stitch into the top of the first 3 chain we did, and then we're going to do a couple of slip stitches in top of these until we get to our point, and we're going to slip stitch into our point. So again, now we are very, very similar, but we're not going to do the big points here like we did before. They are just going to be 2 chain. In fact, I'm just double check. Look at this. This is how I've got it written down. I'm not shocking for writing my patterns down. I just want to double check that I did do it as a standard. I did. Right, so now we can pull that a little bit tighter now, can't I? Yeah. So I'm going to do 3 chain, counts as our first treble. We're going to do 2 more trebles, 1 and 2. we're going to do just 2 chain, just 2 this time. I know it was 4 on the other one, but it's just 2. And then back in, like I said, it's just like doing a granny square, really. I know quite often granny squares are 3s for the corners, but I decided on 2s because I think the fit works better. So that's what we're creating, and we're just going to create that in every one of these. So we have our 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3, into the next one, 1, 2, 3, 2 chain, 1, 2, and 3, into the next one, 1, 2, and 3, 2 chain, 1, 2, and 3, and the last one of this set, 1, 2, 3, 2 chain, and 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I keep doing that because I'm pulling the yarn out of the bowl, because it's the bowl, should I say. It's not sticking, it's just not running very easy. I'll use, if I'm working myself, I like to have the bowl or the basket or whatever it is lower than my work, whereas this is on the same level as my table. So it's sort of catching a little bit. Right, slip stitch into the top, and we have our second set, our second round. There is only one more round, which is this little round here. So the first thing we need to do is be able to slip stitch into a space, just like we did before. So you've got a couple of stitches here to slip stitch into before you slip stitch into the space. And this time it is going to be a little bit weirder. We're creating this little lump here. Yeah. So we're going to do 5 chain. I'm double checking because I think I said 4. No, it is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. But we're going to slip stitch back into here. So slip stitch. If you really desperately hate slip stitches, you can do a double crochet. I just think the slip stitch makes it a little bit neater, that's all. So slip stitch. Okay. We're going to do 2 chain, and this time we've got this side one here to do, so we're going to go in with a treble. Yeah, we do 2 chain, then slip stitch into the corner, 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, slip stitch back into it, 2 chain, 1, 2, treble in this side space, 2 chain, slip stitch into the corner, 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, slip stitch back into that very same corner. We have 2 chain, treble in the space, 2 chain, slip stitch corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, slip stitch back, 2 chain, treble in the side, 2 chain. I nearly did a treble again then. Slip stitch into the corner, 5 chain, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Slip stitch, nearly did a double crochet, slip stitch, 2 chain, treble in the side one, 2 chain, and we're going to now, because we're slip stitched into there, sometimes it's a bit hard to get in here, so you sort of slip stitching into the, it's hard to slip stitch into a slip stitch, if that makes sense. So that is it. That is our round. Can I get my rubbish scissors? Cut it off. We're going to sew the ends in because it makes life so much easier. So we have our matching pair. I like quite a sharp needle when I'm sewing in because I find it easier to go in into the threads. If I've got a chunky needle, it just doesn't like to go through, and I think you can then split your stitches. So sometimes harder to thread when you have a finer needle, but I think for sewing up it makes life so much easier. rather than fighting to get through the thread. Like you can tell, it's my paper scissors. It's got glue on it and all sorts. So it's the, well, it's not paper scissors, it's scissors that does everything. You know, they're the scissors that suffer in my house. Because people go, oh, have you got any scissors? Yeah, that's the ones that get used. They've certainly done their time though. But I am about due to get some new scissors, I think. Sort of chewing through the wool a bit, isn't it? Right, so you can see we have our sizes. Now it's going to be approximately the same as we did last time, but you can see we're just jumping from point to point, so it leaves quite a big gap here. So again, you may want to adjust. I'm going with the 7 that I did on my last one. But if you're finding it won't slip onto the ball, you might need an 8 or a 9 even, or you might want less if it's a little bit loose. So I've come in with that. I do a chain and then double crochet back in because that anchors it. So 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7 into the next point. Repeat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Big jump it feels like, I know, but that is where we need to go. Let's pull my yarn a bit tighter. Double crochet. 7, 1, nearly 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Jump to the next one, and I'm going to stop there because remember there's only 5 this time. The yarn splits a little bit there. So can you see how it's pulling it round a bit? So that is where you go, is it going to fit on now? I don't know. So I'm just going to pull that out. What have I done? Has anybody noticed what I did there? I didn't join them together. Dear me. It's one of those days. Like I said, I could cut it. I could start again. But I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I like to sometimes show that we all go wrong. So we're going to put them together this time. We're going to join them like this. We're going to do a chain and then we're going to do a double crochet. And I thought it felt funny. I thought it feels way too thin. Dear me. It's one of them days. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. It was certainly not going to fit on the bauble like that, was it? Right. Double crochet. 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Into the next one. Double crochet. I'd have had fun trying to fix it. If I'd have carried on round, I'm going, why won't it go on the bauble? Dear me. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And line them up, pull them through, double crochet. And I'm going to stop there because, as I said, there is only 5 this time. And I need this opening to make sure it's going to fit like I would like it to fit. Because we need the point down here, which means it's different at the top, the way it sits. So we get our bauble, we faff about with it a minute, we get into its position. I know I need the point at the bottom, so shuffle it round. So can you see? So I end up with a point at the bottom of which I can then hang things on. But we do need to finish this last little bit, which we'll do now. In fact, I'm doing it the wrong way around. We need it that way around because otherwise I won't have got there. That's my bottom. So just play about until it's in the position you want, remembering you're thinking, oh, well, I need it to be lined up with that. But we need to also be able to do this bit. It might fall off the bauble while you're trying to do this because it's less going round it compared with the 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. And then we need to pull this one together with this one. Okay, so it takes a second, a little bit of juggling, a bit of patience to actually get it through because it's harder when it sort of twists when you've got sort of nothing to hold on to. So all the way through. We did it. And just a double crochet and it's together. Now you have 2 choices here. With the other one, in fact, if I take that out, you can see with the other one I decided to go round with the double crochet all the way around. So I'm going to do that, but you don't really have to. It's just a personal choice, or if it was a little bit loose at that point. So if I did one chain now And into each of these spaces I'm going to do 2 double crochets. It is weird holding it on the ball, but we got 2 double crochets, 2 double crochets. It just neatens it off really, but it's not that necessary. It was just something I decided to do. So 2. I'll show you the difference when we get round, whether it was worth it or not. So into each of the little spaces we do 2 double crochets, almost round. Also depends on what your tops are like. If your tops are sort of more solid, you might not need this at all. Nearly there. Makes a funny noise as well. This is the last one for 2. And then obviously we need to do a nice slip stitch into that first one that you did, which is again is there. Pull it through, grab my scissors and snip it up. Let's have a look and you see the difference and you can decide. Right, that's what it does. It neatens it up quite a lot, but if you're struggling to get in there, don't worry about it. I think it still looks okay because it's allowed to be sort of quite lacy and open, because that is what it's like. So we're going to put the top back on again. If yours is sort of flatter here, it might not need it. It's just playing around with what you've got. There we go. So make sure that's all nice and even. So that is now my top. Sew the ends in, which I'm not going to do just yet, but you do need to obviously sew your ends in. And we now know we have point to point. Yeah, so if we're wanting to add anything on, that is where we would hang it. Now I did use these. I did have another needle somewhere. I need to find a needle. I can't sew with that. I did put one in there. I know I did. But I do have a tin of needles, which is hiding from me at this very moment. Don't know, I'm picking bits of tinsels up or needles. It was because it was in. It was in with the tinsel, so I couldn't see it. Right, this is a normal sewing needle. That's all this is. Now, if you're a jewellery maker, you'll go, oh, this is easy peasy. Oh, I can do it better than that. You might be able to. I can do a bit. I wouldn't have said I'm exactly brilliant. But finding a way to sort of sew the beads on, this is how I did it. So I'm just letting you know. So I folded my cotton. I'm threading my cotton. Hopefully they're both going to go through. They've both gone through. Yeah. So it's just so it sort of creates a loop. Finding my point, I do it like that. Now for this, I'm going to do both of these like this. Now I usually like a little sort of bead on the end, but because I was sort of pushing the feather in, that didn't work. So I'm just going to go back through. So I've gone through both of them again. And there they sit. You do have a bit of cotton showing there. That's why I've used the white cotton. See on that bottom one. And then I'm just going to tighten it. And then I need to find some feathers, which I can't do until I've got somebody else in the house that's going to climb for me. So just tightened it up. So this one's just got 2 little bobbles a minute. That could have done with being a bit tighter. If you don't think it's tight enough, just pop your thread back through it. And then a little bit of super glue with your feather in there. And ta-da! That's what you get. And that's it. It's just a very basic, very simple. Let's have a play round doing some bauble covers. Where's my snowflakes? Let's just pull it all in. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you're going to have a go. So you can do it in so many colors. It's just versatile, but you may need to play around. It's usually this bit where you might need to add a couple of extra chain or reduce a couple of extra chain, depending on the baubles you get. But I said these were great, just cheap Temu ones, but they've done their job. Just make sure they're solid enough. They're not going to break on your hands or anything like that. So hope you can enjoy that. If you enjoy the channel, please like, subscribe and share, and I'll see you all very soon. Bye bye for now.